Welcome to episode 18 of Randall Vision. I am your host, Randall. Special episode today. This is a big one. It's been on my mind for a while, and thinking about it and trying to do it right made me put it off for a week. So it's time to stop putting it off and talk about the thing I'm going to talk about. So, congratulations, Randall. You have won philosophy. That's it. That's the only validation that I ever needed. And I have some thoughts about it that I'd like to share. And I spent time trying to organize these thoughts into a coherent outline, and that didn't work. So we're gonna take some raw brainstorms and read them and discuss them a little bit. So importantly, I'm gonna give myself a round of applause and a pat on the back. I did it. Congratulations. You won, dude. You won. So since I can't organize them coherently, we'll just go top to bottom. Intellectualizing only takes you so far. So whenever you're trying to learn philosophy, you do a lot of mental masturbation, and that won't take you where you want to go if you're trying to figure things out. It can help, it could point you in the right direction, but it doesn't get you there. So what does get you there is experience. And I don't think experience can really be taught. That's something that people have to do of their own volition. So, a thought I had about that, I don't know if this is where it belongs, we'll put it there anyways, is that data points. Data points is what makes up the world we live in, and getting as many of those as possible into your mind allows you to make more connections, and the more connections you make, the clearer your picture of what reality is becomes. So data points aren't just learning stuff in books. Learning stuff from books is good. Learning stuff from classes is good. But you also learn all day, every day through your experience, interactions with humans, social situations, doing things. When you do things, that creates more data points. Entertainment, everything, all of it. So the more of those you have, the more diversity is kind of important. Now, can you get there with a narrow field? I'm sure you can. But pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone, if you're able to do that, then it's even better. Next point here, big E and small e. When people have those, a knee-jerk reaction is to want to teach or preach. That is fine for some, but to me it looks like a hustle. So what's a big E and what's a small e? Big E is enlightenment. That's something that some people, spiritual people, mystics, whoever, that's something they seek And I assume it exists, and I kind of assume that I have not experienced capital E enlightenment, because I think if you do, you cease to be, at least in the way that we think of being. But small e is when you get it. And small e's can occur a lot. And whenever you have a small e enlightenment, you're like, holy shit, I know what's going on. And there's a compulsion to like express that. You're like, holy shit, I saw the other side. I need to tell someone about this. And particularly people that have had like multiples of these and start being able to communicate what that is, that's the imperative, is like, oh, this is important, and it should be like part of my life's work to make sure other people understand what this is. And I'm not saying that those are the people that do teach after that kind of stuff are con men. So I'm not saying that the people that teach are con men, particularly if they have a free model. If there's no barrier to entry, then that's a good sign. When people start requesting money for wisdom or whatever, or guidance, it makes sense, and it's an exchange of value. I don't think people should do work for free, but it doesn't take money to experience that stuff. And also to the contrary, I was going to save this for the end, but it's all that imperative is good. That, you know, I'm kind of like shirking my responsibilities of teaching, but a more important lesson is that everyone should teach, that we should all have a vested interest in others going in the right direction. And sometimes the wrong direction's the right direction, so it gets pretty hairy. But yeah, it's not a person's place to tell what is right for something for someone else, like right or wrong for someone else. So it gets very difficult. But the point I'm trying to make is that like a great deal of your learning will be in the domain of the dual. And there's a progression. It's a ladder or a spiral ramp going up or something, and we should be helping others along that path. And then whenever you've kind of like got a good grip on the dual path, the non-dual path doesn't really have a direction. You're not helping someone to go up or in any direction. But suffice that to say, let's move on here. Okay. And then what? So this is like I wrote down a toe about 5 years ago, and in it was included the words "and then what?" And I recently came across somebody else that appears to be, is a teacher that I found on YouTube or whatever, and he referenced it as an older conclusion that is drawn by people that reach the end, cross the finish line of philosophy, and you realize you got there because you go, and then what? And the answer is almost unanimous. Go do, go live, go make art. So there's diminishing returns, and too, I think this is a good place to throw this one in. I flipped over the calendar. It's a calendar full of gorgeous photos of goats and deep philosophical quotes. And I flipped over October yesterday, and I'm going to paraphrase and butcher a quote from Marcus Aurelius that show me that what I am doing is wrong, and I will stop doing it. For I seek truth. I seek the kind of truth which brings about no harm. Oh, this is so deeply moving. A very good point that illustrates is the answers are there. Like, whatever it is you want to know, the answer's there. And you just have to go get it. Our species has done pretty well. Better than well. There's so many teachings across so many cultures. And they had the right motives. And any friction, suffering, turbulence that was caused or harmed to the species on account of it, it's misinterpretations. All right, moving on here. Oh, I should have brought a hanky. Most profound wisdom is commonplace. The deepest truths are right out in the open. We blow them off as cliche, often dismissed. It couldn't be that simple, could it? This information isn't easily communicated. Using words and or intellectualizing the concepts doesn't translate one-to-one when it comes to understanding. This must be experienced, and even then it might not stick. So a quick example of that is, don't sweat the small stuff, and everything is small stuff. So if you tell that to somebody with anxiety, it's not going to work. That's like telling them not to worry. It is that simple. Yet it's one of the most difficult things that you could ever do. And the way you get there is through experience. That you can read those words or hear those words 10 times a day, and maybe that would drill it into you. I don't know, but I don't think that anyone can understand what those words mean until you have lived enough to know what they mean. Oh, epistemology's weird. Okay. This is weird. Okay. I stood on the shoulders of giants to get where I am today. Where is that? The common man. I wanted to be a great man when I grew up. I wanted to embody the will to power, so to speak. Along the way, it became clear that higher status was not a prerequisite of greatness. So, if I was presented an option of being a spiritually bankrupt billionaire or a well-balanced and deeply grateful common man, the choice is twice as clear to me today as to when I started my journey. What is the aim? What is it that studying philosophy, trying to craft a theory of everything, trying to attain enlightenment, what is the purpose of doing those things? And beyond being able to live well, I couldn't tell you. So going directly back to the point before that, even if I could tell you, it doesn't translate. So I assumed at least one balloon would fall while I was reading. The understanding of philosophy is non-verifiable. I suppose a pedant can object to this, but parroting an answer to a question doesn't make you wise. I can't prove what I know, so why bother? And that's why bother indeed. Now, there's only one bullet point left there. How did I get here? I followed the path of least resistance. To say that, it makes sense. I could see clearly what that means and how it explains everything, every facet of my existence. And it would take me years to explain it to somebody else. Thank you. Oh, thank you so much. Remember, you're a sovereign individual do what thou wilt.